Imagine you had a sales black belt. Imagine if you knew you had the confidence that every dime you spent on marketing you could turn into $1, a multiple of 10. Every person that came into your office, you knew that you could close and convert them to a client. But that's not the purpose of your first meeting. Because you have this confidence, the purpose of that first meeting is for you to decide whom you want to work with and whom you don't want to work with. Pretty good feeling, would it not be? Of course. I know because I close 75% of the people that I want to close. My name's David Scranton, and I had what was generally considered by many financial advisors the best sales process in the financial services industry, called the Scranton sales process. With this sales process, you were able to get people to commit to transfer their assets to you after one appointment, and your closing ratios would be 40%. Well, you can imagine having the best sales process in the world, and people coming to my training, paying thousands of dollars to learn. I thought that I was on top of my game and I couldn't get any better. Luckily, I had the humility enough to know that that's not true. Because when I started to learn about the magic and the power of NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, as I worked on it to get better and better, I was able to get my closing ratios from 40% up to an incredible 75%. Now, why is that? Study after study shows that only 8% of the reason that people buy from you has to do with the words that you use during your sales meetings. 8%. The other 92% has to do with factors that are not conscious to you. They have to do with factors that affect the unconscious mind. Okay? Think about most of the things that you've done in life. You unconsciously decided that you wanted to do them, and then you spent a lot of time consciously trying to justify them. Think about whether it's a car that was maybe a little overpriced, but you really wanted it. You decided, I've got to have it, and then you tried to justify it consciously. But that decision was made in your unconscious mind. Same thing with a home that maybe had been a little bit more than you wanted to spend. Okay? Well, in most cases, if I were to interview your clients and ask them why they work with you, they would say, because he or she just made me feel comfortable. They made me feel comfortable. And if I were to interview you as a financial advisor to say, how did you do that? How did you make me feel comfortable? I bet you couldn't answer the question. Okay. So NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, helps you in three important areas. Is how it relates to that 92%. Selling to the unconscious mind, the mind that makes the decisions. Okay? First, how do you build rapport? We're all taught in the business that we have to build rapport first thing in a meeting. Okay? But how do we build rapport? By speech, by talking about areas of commonality. Well, again, that only affects 8% of their decision-making process. You're leaving 92% on the table. 92% of rapport building is unconscious, okay? And it's non-verbal. NLP teaches you how to get that 92% working for you. Okay? Number two, our brain works, our mind works, our decision-making process works in terms of certain filters. Filters that have been affected in large part by our upbringing, our real-life experiences, our value system, and so on. NLP puts these in the meta-programs. There are 12 meta-programs that explain how people filter information. If you don't know how a particular prospect filters this information, your chances of making that person a client go down dramatically. Okay? Let me give you one quick example. One meta-program is called the directional filter. Some people are motivated by moving toward a goal, toward pleasure. Other people are motivated by moving away from pain. Now, if you get a moving away from person, and you talk about all the money they're going to make by working with you, they're going to filter you out because their meta program is, I want to move away from pain. He's talking about all this pleasure. I don't care about that. That moving away from person, you need to talk about how by working with you, you're going to help them prevent losses, prevent the pain. Now you're talking based upon their filter. Again, 12 different filters that you can work with. And lastly, influential language to influence the unconscious. Again, think about all of our sales process sometimes, how we logically talk to people about lowering their risk, about protecting their assets, about keeping up with inflation. That's all logical, linear stuff that works to the conscious mind. And that's great in theory, but again, you're only working with 8% of the brain power. Okay? You know that studies have shown that even our human brains, when we do anything in life, we only use about 3% of our brain power. The other 97% is dormant. So imagine if you can talk with proper language by the use of things that you know, like embedded commands, conversational postulates, things like that. Presuppositions. We've heard these terms. You know what a presupposition is. You know what embedded command is, kind of, sort of, but you don't have it polished. Okay? But imagine if it were polished and these words just were to flow in a way that the unconscious mind through an embedded command could relate to. Okay? That's the power of NLP. So ladies and gentlemen, I challenge you. If you're at 40% and you were as good as I was, you can almost double that by learning how to speak to the unconscious mind using these 3 methods. Number 1, building rapport, not through words, but unconsciously. Number 2, understanding people's decision-making mental filters so that you can filter through which ones are important to them and speak the language that they can relate to. And lastly, using influential language like embedded commands and presuppositions to speak to the unconscious mind. If you want to learn more about this, call our office, come to one of our training on NLP. We are the only NLP training specifically designed for the financial services industry. Again, my name is David Scranton, and I am an NLP certified trainer. Look forward to seeing you at our next event. Thank you.